Hello and welcome to Salt All the Things. Today we're going to sprinkle salt around our character select screen and see which one it blesses. Just kidding. I'm Rocket. That's Trug.
Hey, everybody.
We're going to talk about World of Warcraft. Trug, we are knee deep in Midnight Season 1. Woo!
Oh, we are. We just had our first raid day. We're recording on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday as normal. So we had our first raid night in midnight last night, and it was a blast.
I feel like it went really, really well, even with a lot of new people being in the guild. There were a couple rough pulls there, but once we figured things out, coordination was good. People were persistent. There wasn't a lot of grumbling, very minor, I think, at the beginning.
Yeah, there was maybe one, but it resolved itself pretty quickly, and everything seemed smooth after that.
Yeah. So for those who aren't aware, I don't know if this is an unusual cadence for them to do this, but this is the first time I can remember that we got more than one raid right away. But I think it's because one of them is just a single boss fight. So the Spire and what's the other one called? The Dream Grove?
Yeah, I think it is called. You aren't relying on me for names, are you?
No. But anyway, so there's a raid out in Heronir. It's a single boss raid with a lot of ads. And then there's the Void Spire, which is obviously in Voidstorm. No, that's in the middle of Elwyn. But those are both available on all difficulties, I believe, except for Mythic right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the other difficulty levels, but man, that was. I think one thing that our raid team needed was just some fresh blood and some fresh eyes, and everybody
wins,
that's joined
man.
recently, they came together and we just kicked butt. It's kind of funny. We ended up getting 4 normal bosses down last night across the 2 hours. First time we've seen any of these, so that was good progress. But the last boss of the night, we were just going to take kind of a joke pull because we were out of time for the night, so we were just kind of pulling it to see. It was Salad Bar, as I call him.
Brilliant.
Oh man, we one-shotted him. we didn't even
all
really
right,
talk
let's just
strategy
pull it
that
see
much.
what happens. We'll attack it on Friday when we raid again, and it's like boom, one shot. Take that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's what we have been up to. I hope everybody else out there is also enjoying early midnight raiding.
Yeah, and not just raiding, but all the other fun content that's now available. I mean, there's Nightmare Prey mode. Unfortunately, Trog hasn't
What's
unlocked
that?
that yet, but he's almost there. I've been enjoying that quite a bit. It's a great way to gear up and get currency for upgrading all your stuff. The delves, I'm slowly working my way through getting all the 11 delves done. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I have been enjoying the hunt system a lot. I, of course, did not do all the prey in the first week because I was very focused on completing the story. But I've gotten, I think I'm 2,600 out of 4,000 to get the Nightmare unlock, so I'll get that soon.
Yeah.
I am really enjoying this expansion, all the different activities. The only one I don't like is the weekly activity out in Voidspire, but I love all the rest of them.
I just don't like sitting around for that one. I feel like all the other events are more of a you start them kind of thing, and that one is okay, sit around for 5 minutes until it starts, and then sit around for 5 minutes until it starts.
And don't you dare accidentally leave one of the circles during the event, or else you won't get credit for that phase,
How
and
dare
then you have
you.
to do it again.
How dare you go kill that rare that's over there?
Especially when they give you a quest to kill the rare. and
That
then punish
really
you for
irked
doing
me
so.
the first time. I'm like, so I can't leave, but the rare's not nearby. Cool, good to know.
Guess I'll just not get this quest done then.
Right? I'll get that done later. Oh man. What
Hey,
about
Rocket.
auction house? How's that going for you? Or crafting, I guess, would be a better question.
Auction house isn't doing lots of money, just mostly the stuff from the Argentina, and I did half of a mist raid the other day, so I've got a couple thousand for mats from that, but not very much. At the beginning of the expansion, the only real thing that sells on the auction house is current stuff,
Yeah.
so I'm not making as much money as I normally do. I did max out my enchanting,
Nice.
and my engineering is close, so I'm
Yeah.
collecting recipes at this point.
I'm almost there on my tailoring and engineering myself, and I'm slowly picking away at jewel crafting. I'm in like the high 50s right now, and everything's crazy expensive. However, one trick that I have discovered for myself is if I'm focusing on like the multiple point um, patterns, you know, the ones that give you like 2 or 3 points just for making it the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, when I make those, if I turn around and sell them on the auction house, I get back all the money I spent on the mats. So that's a quick turnaround. It
That
doesn't sting quite as much if you can make your gold back right away.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had the same luck. I've made a few 100,000, but certainly not what I spent on mats to power level the professions.
Oh, there's still a lopsidedness that's happening, but it's more like a one for one. So if I do one pattern, I buy all the mats for it and I get the gold back for that one pattern. But there's 50 points of each profession right now that I've spent gold on that I'm never going to get back.
It's true. Well, what about housing, Rocket? What have you been doing on housing lately?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to cough real quick, everybody. I am sorry. I'm still on the tail end of this, but we're fighting through it. Um, Housing's going pretty good. I am kind of dismayed to see that there's very little alliance participation in our endeavors. um, it's almost like we're mostly a horde guild or something. Who knew? Um, but the alliance house is where me and Ray have our little project going on. That's actually going really well. Yesterday I did a update to the YouTube. You all should check it out. We had a really cool idea. I'm not gonna like spoil with details, but the idea is we're doing a Alice in Wonderland bedroom.
Oh, that sounds cool. Like that American McGee Alice game, because I loved that game
I
back in the
wish,
day.
dude. It's not quite as creepy as that, although I would love it if it was. But the uh, the idea came to us. It actually was my idea that I presented to her and asked her if she was cool if we tried it. And it's to do an upside down bedroom.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it came out really nice. Uh, I'm putting some finishing touches, and we'll record the finished product probably next week.
You know, you said you weren't going to spoil it, but I feel like you just spoiled everything.
I did, but I didn't tell you what's in the bedroom. So go watch the video.
You know what? I will either watch the video or I will just come out to the Alliance and go into your house.
Yeah, stalker.
Yeah, I'm creepy like that.
So, like, I don't know if anyone else, while we're on the subject of housing, I was a little perturbed, much like a lot of other content creators, when I saw what was happening on the cash shop and the obvious like money grabbing that was happening, even though they promised that that's not what they would do. And then
Indeed.
I logged in this morning to do some work on my Warlock, and it's getting even worse because now they're asking for donations, like $20 to get the housing Habitat for Humanity pet with the little doghouse and everything. I'm like, this is really hard for me to justify when literally I just spent $35 on 2 gazebos to get the tender to buy the other pack that you wanted me to buy.
Well, this is the business part of the game that we all
Yeah.
despise.
Unfortunately, I get it. Businesses exist to make money, but when they put out a release, like, they put out a whole page of like, this is our philosophy and these are our promises. And then they broke every single one of them in less than a week. That makes me feel bad.
Yeah, it is not good stuff.
So I
but
mean,
not unexpected from
hats off
being
to
owned by
people who
Microsoft.
can resist temptation. Sorry, I talked over you, but hats off to people who can resist temptation. But my child really wanted the cherry blossom trees, so we ended up getting the cherry blossom trees.
Well, I would say that I have self-control, and that's why I didn't buy it. But I really just didn't buy it because it's housing, and I didn't really care.
Yeah, if it was a cherry blossom mount, now we're talking.
Yeah, I probably would have. Although I haven't bought the new mounts yet. That's unusual for me.
Yeah, I broke down and bought them because they're awesome. The flying squirrels animation is fantastic. But see, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like they need to take it easy on there once in a while. It's like there's too much stuff for us to spend money on. I know to them that's not an issue, but like for me it is because I am the poor.
Well, Rocket, what is our topic today? It's you haven't mentioned it yet.
Oh, I haven't. Well, that's probably because I'm not looking forward to talking most of the time again. But here we go, everybody. Drum roll. Blah, blah, blah. So today, we're going to talk about Rocket's flip-floppiness and how do you choose a main? Your silence is
We should totally
overwhelming.
talk about that. Well, because this show stars Rocket.
Ah, it's Rocket and Trog. You know, I'm just going to
Well, why
start
don't you-
referring to myself in these as contest winner Rocket too.
You're going to have to explain that for our audience, sir.
I think we did last time. There was the
Oh, did we?
the
Okay.
guild contest with the AI art, and I don't care how I won, but I won, and so I'm going to rub it in the collective guild's face until the end of time now.
Look, that was the before times. I can't remember all that.
Right? That was a week ago. Whew. But
Well,
anyway, so
why
yeah,
don't you lead off? Because
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you lead off because I have some things to say, but introduce the topic and talk about your particular struggle with this because our struggles are a little bit different.
Yeah, so what's kind of been happening to me lately, everybody, and I don't know if anyone else ever feels this way. There's many tunes that I would enjoy to play, but there's only a few that I know that I could probably play well. So that handful has been narrowed down to like Hunter, Warlock, Druid, and I was doing Demon Hunter for the Devourer spec, but I don't know if anybody else has this opinion. I don't enjoy the little mini game that's involved just to do your rotation. So I lost interest in that really quick. Like, it's really good for bursty damage as long as you can gobble up all the orbs. And if you miss it or you miss your window, your damage is in the toilet. And that's something I don't enjoy. But like, ever since vanilla, I've basically been a beast mastery hunter. I branched off into survival, tail end of Shadowlands into Dragonflight. And then Warlock, I was mostly destruction for over a decade. But then I started enjoying just the army of imps that demonology brings to the table. So when they announced Midnight, I was really excited. I'm like, oh, all right, Demonology Warlock's actually going to be okay to, you know, start off the expansion with. And it looks really good. I did a couple of rounds of beta testing. And then, you know, the pre-patch, I was playing Demonology and having a great time. Even now in Season 1, I've done, well, pre-season, I've done a bunch of Mythic Zeros, and I'm just having a great time. It's fine. It's easy. But then, like, last night, we went into our raid, and I wasn't terrible, but I was clearly, like, not performing as well as some other warlocks that are in the group. And I don't know if anyone else has that happen to them where, like, as you notice how bad you're being, you either have to turn off the meter or just not look at it. Because, like, the mechanics and living and using my tools and everything to survive, I'm good. I'm good with all that. It's doing all that and figuring out how to do the damage in a raid setting. So that's kind of the long-winded intro into kind of my thought process for today is like, is WoW in a state where picking one tune really matters as much anymore? And I honestly feel, as far as rating goes, the answer is yes, because you want to bring a consistent character to the group and you want to know what you're doing and they want to know that they can count on you. But I think for everything else, it's pretty much play what you feel like. I mean, Trog, any thoughts?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. And I'll say first, you joined the guild in War Within Season 2 when we were doing the goblin stuff. And you were one of our raiders who would die pretty early in the fight most of the time. And I will say last night I saw you were not one of the people dying. There was one person that died almost every pull, but it wasn't you. And there was when Trog ran off the cliff for some reason in the middle of a fight.
That was hilarious,
but
man. You weren't even looking at anything. You just ran for no reason.
I was running to the cliff to avoid the breath, and then I just went too
the
far.
laser.
Yeah, that one. But I'll say that raiding is an activity that requires you to understand your class sufficiently, and not just how to press your buttons to do DPS, but when to use your defensives, when to use your damage spikes, how to position yourself. If you have a mechanic you have to worry about, there's a lot going on in these. And the very first skill that kind of starts elevating you as a raider is when you can be aware of your area, regardless of where you are on the meter. If you can be aware enough of yourself to do mechanics and not die, then that's the first gain. And you have made that progress over the time we've been playing together. You're not somebody that, as a healer, I had to constantly kind of keep an eye on you and a couple other people in the guild to constantly make sure I was streaming heals, but I don't have to even think about you so much anymore, which is where you want to be from your raid leader's perspective.
Yeah. So thank you for that constructive feedback. So maybe I don't know,
well,
maybe I'm just beating myself up needlessly. Again, it is our very first raid of the new season, so I'm going to cut myself a little bit of slack in regards to that, and I'm going to work on tweaking my damage output while on the move and see what I can do to improve that.
And that's mostly what raiding is, right? You try to tackle a thing at a time, and you tackled your first thing. You tackled struggling with mechanics and dying early in the fight, and you've solved that problem for yourself now. You're much better in that area. So the next thing to work on is, once we're done learning the fights. Last night, I mean, there were meters, there were people topping the meters, right? And I was generally in the top 5 too. But I would dip when I was trying to learn the fight, when I was paying attention to all the things on the screen, when I was trying to make sure I was positioning myself correctly for the next thing that was going to happen. I was dropping to in the top 10 instead on the DPS. And right now is not the time to be super worried about the meter, but when you do get concerned about the meter, it is going to be that. How do I, now that I know these fights, so it's second nature, I know where to stand, I know what to look for, I know what to pay attention to.
Right.
How do I make sure that my damage continues when I'm on the move, when I'm setting up? Am I in a place where I can use my cooldowns, because I know I'm going to have 15, 20 seconds of stand still, kill the monster time. And that's the stuff. I myself have played mostly Warlock and Shaman the whole time. I played Hunter a lot too, but my main tunes have always been Warlock and Shaman. And for Midnight, I made an intentional choice to change classes to one I'd never played before. I'd never seriously played Druid. I'd certainly never raided with a Druid, because I don't even think I ever had a max level one before now. And I'm glad that I'm sticking on one tune right now, because it's meaning that I can learn the game and I can figure out all the things I need to figure out without having to worry too much about, okay, now I've got to think in an entirely different mode for my damage, right?
Right.
What I used to do is I used to play solo on my lock and raids on my shaman. So I would ignore everything in the game except raiding on my shaman, and everything else is my lock. And those two paradigms was a struggle sometimes, because when you're raid healing, right, that's a different kind of part of your brain. And like I'd be so used to playing my lock for the last week, and then I get on my shaman. I'm like, crap, I don't remember what to do. I have to like get into this, and the first few fights are rough. So it's been really
Shaman
nice for
doesn't
me
have
to just
Chaos
be able
Bolt.
to be
What's
like,
going on?
I love that now, like the thing that I'm doing on Prey and Delves and World Quests and stuff, I just transition into the raid and it's pretty much the same stuff. It's making it a lot easier for me, and this isn't really an experience I've had before.
Yeah. And again, that kind of goes back to like the jumping off point for why I even wanted to talk about this is like the game is set up to where you can, have your fingers in a lot of different character pies. I know that sounds dirty, but it wasn't intended. Um so like my main since vanilla has been a hunter. That's my bread and butter. I know the class very well. Even with all the changes that have gone on, I can log into a hunter, I can survive, and I can do pretty much better than average damage. Now, if I really focus in and learn my rotations and, you know, focus on getting the gear and stuff like that, then I'll do even better than average. But with Warlock, I've always enjoyed it. I've always liked it as a class. So I am going to take the plunge and just try to stick to it like glue and figure it out. And I think a big key component of that is just this attitude of like, well, if I'm focusing on this, I can't play any of the others. And let's be honest, everybody, that's just not true. The game is what you make time for. So in order to appease my ADDness when it comes to choosing a main, I'm still going to level my hunter. It's already level 90. It's almost equal in item level to my warlock. I'm going to mess around on my druid, like when I want to learn how to tank some of the newer dungeons when the rotation is fully open next week. So like I'm still going to get that fix for the other things while focusing on the main thing that I'm bringing to the raid group. And I think that's the most important thing is to, realize that you're not pigeonholed into just playing one thing. It's not like vanilla anymore where like your one tune is your whole life, because that's how it was. It really was.
That's true. It did used to be that way back in the day. I had to play my shaman as my main and neglect my lock a little bit back in during some of the raiding times before.
Yeah, I mean, even like back in Cataclysm and even Pandaria, like there was just so much stuff that if you had a dedicated raiding tune, you couldn't do any of the content on an alt until you had already progressed the season far enough to where, you're maybe raiding once a week if you're lucky.
So I think what you're going to find when you start digging into yourself, or the approach I would take if I were you, because midway through War Within, I kind of thought about maybe stopping playing my shaman and switching to my lock. So I started doing my lock in more mythic pluses and stuff instead of my shaman. And my damage was abhorrent. I've played my lock for years. I was doing good in delves. I felt like I was doing good damage, but then I would get in a mythic plus and I would just suck.
Because it's a different beast.
What I ended up, it's a different beast, but also the things that I had learned to do solo didn't necessarily translate to mythic plus. There was an ability in particular, I can't remember which one it was, but it was an AoE type ability. And what I didn't realize is there were 3 or 4 talents that all kind of chained on top of that. And the fact that I was only using it in AoE, I was supposed to be using it in single target too. So I was missing a whole lot of accelerators that I didn't even know were there because I didn't know to use that. Yeah, and it's going to be things like that. When I encountered that on my lock, I initially felt like, oh, I suck. But then I'm like, no, maybe I'm missing something. So I started reading, and I actually ended up making my own spec. I took out a couple of points that were normal for everybody else, and I put them in abilities that I tended to favor more. And I just watched my damage jump in Mythics, because instead of just using the copy-paste spec from Wowhead and the rotation that they advised, I had learned to play it a different way, and I leaned into that, and I was able to increase my damage quite a bit. That is one thing that I've always loved about WoW is, I mean, we of the WoW community on the internet have decided that there's one way to play every spec, right? Optimally. But that's not really true.
No.
And you can make your own choices. And like I'm doing it with my Evoker right now. I really like the Convoke playstyle, even though everything seems to be recommending the incantation builds. But that Convoke ability just feels fun to me. And especially when I'm out doing content, or like the ads last night when I could time my Convoke to be up when the ads were coming out. Oh, that was good because it would just like tear things down.
Yeah.
So it's going to be stuff like that, Rocket. Just the discoveries of how your play style integrates with that spec.
The other thing that really irks me is when I go on to things like Wowhead or Icy Veins, and it's like these are the stat priorities, these are the things, and everything's like it can be a tad overwhelming at times when you're trying to figure out like why am I lacking in damage. And one thing I've noticed, at least for demonology, is they want crit equal to haste. So obviously that's going to be very hard to do because there's very little crit haste gear. Almost everything that has haste has something else other than crit with it. So
there's a lot of versatility on gear that I'm seeing lately.
Right. So just knowing that going in, I think is, preparing me like my brain wise to be like, hey, this is going to be a process, but once I get it and I figure it out, it'll be good,
Well, do remember stuff like that too. It's not usually the first thing. Your secondary stats definitely drive a lot of your damage, but it's not the major focus. The major focus is, do I have a play style? Can I execute that continually even when I'm moving around and dealing with mechanics? That's the first thing.
Right. And for me, I've found, being an older Rocket, I've found that like my playstyle is pretty much Mythic Plus playstyle. So I tend to do really well in trash pulls and raids. And then I'm like middle of the pack on the raid boss itself. Although Demonology has a lot of stuff that really makes it easy to be okay on a single target boss fight, even in an AoE spec. But like, so for example, last night I was swapping specs around trying to figure it all out on the fly, see if that would affect anything. And like the single target spec that they wanted me to play, I actually dropped my DPS by like 2k. So there's a lot to be said for like choosing a playstyle that suits you and try to build it around what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
Excuse
definitely.
me, around what you're doing and the content that you want to be in.
So what is it that draws you to the Warlock? Why did you want that to be your tune for raiding in Midnight?
Well, I mean, it's all about the imp army, man. When I see my screen full of imps blasting away with, fell bolts at whatever target, and then just, like, I know it's quote unquote not optimal according to Wowhead, but I play Diabolist, so I get all the extra demons that come in once in a while. And it's just so much fun, just the randomness of it. And then, just feeling like I ripped this thing across space and time and made it do my bidding, and then it died, and then I brought it back.
Dude, I get that fantasy. That is
just
a fun
really
fantasy.
Fun. It's like, get back to work, minion.
The Boomkin for me, I love casting builds, first off, and I wasn't really super into it because the hippie nature feel of the Druid isn't normally my draw. But I gotta tell you, when I'm watching laser beams come from space or a moon gets pulled down and smashed into the pack of enemies,
dude,
that feels
every
pretty
now and
freaking
then
good.
out of the corner of my eye, I see that happen. And I'm like, holy hell, that is cool.
I know. I don't remember it from the old one. I've not played a Druid very long, so maybe this is a normal thing. But I love it when that moon falls down.
It's like, all right, I'm just gonna kill you with a planet now. But yeah,
I
so
I
I
will
mean,
say,
I've always been drawn to the pet classes, Trog. I mean, you know that about me. That's why I play Hunter. It's why I play Warlock.
well, and I'm the same.
So, like, as far as doing open world content and things, I feel personally for my playstyle, they are the best option because, unless I overpull or overestimate myself, like I did in a delve yesterday, um, I have a hard time dying, and I'm not saying that because I'm so great. I'm saying that because the pet classes are just, built a little sturdier for that kind of stuff, except for the higher delves for whatever reason.
That's funny because I've always played pet classes too, right? Primarily Hunter and Warlock, but for a while, Shaman kind of felt like a pet class because you had those elementals.
Right,
But
it was a pet
that doesn't seem
class
to be
that
as
was on
prominent
cooldown
anymore.
instead of just all the time.
Yeah, so playing the Druid, I still have my pets. I have my trees once every 45 seconds. Uh, but I can't count on those things to consistently keep me alive because as soon as they disappear, I just watch all the mobs turn towards
Oh,
me.
they're like, "Oh, hi.
Oh, hi, person that's been throwing stars at us. It's
Oh,
time for you to
you hit
die.
me with a planet. I'm kind of mad about it."
So that's been quite an adjustment for me, too, because, I mean, you know how I play. I just pull everything in the area and then I kill it.
I mean,
And
it's the guild name for a reason.
I die a lot in solo content sometimes, especially when I'm only half paying attention and pulling an entire group of elites in a high level area. But it's been a good learning experience for me because I haven't changed how I play. I still play like an idiot, but
A
I'm learning
lovable
how
idiot.
to I'm learning how to deal with that and utilize the tools of my class so that I can still play the way I want to play, even if I don't always have a pet available to distract from my behavior.
Well, and I tell you what'll really help you, at least in the current content, is as soon as you unlock the nightmare mode for the hunts, that has taught me a lot of my warlock defensive capabilities, like on the fly. There's just a lot of stuff. I'm not going to ruin it for you. I want you to experience it and then ask for help.
I
But,
won't.
there's just a lot of things that are thrown at you in a very short window of time, and you must do them or you will die. It's not a question of will you, it's just a question of when.
Like that delve boss from season 3 when she looks at you.
Right. For me, it was the guessing game. I got all those mechanics down except the guessing game.
I really did not understand what to do in that. I never ended up actually going back and doing it after we talked.
Yeah.
So that's the only delve boss I didn't finish last season or last expansion.
Yeah. Me too. I think I did Underpin and I did the Zekvir. But for whatever reason, Kaivesa was just my brick wall.
So, the other thing I'll say is I think that class fantasy, right? What you like about the class, like lean into that. I know for my druid, I really like the Elune spec more. It's frustrating because you lose wrath, wrath is not good in that spec. You really just need to be
Really?
star falling all the time. It's because everything is about the star part of the rotation.
Okay.
It's an AOE rotation. I like it more, but it's not optimal. But I'm hoping that they clean that up a little bit and maybe make that viable for single target too, because that's what I'd rather
Well,
play.
and again,
But the trees are just way more consistent.
we have to remember, again, this is like week 1 of season 1. I'm sure there will be some changes that happen throughout the season.
Well, I was glad to see all those Boomkin buffs right before the raid dropped. That
Yeah.
was nice.
The other class that's really sitting pretty right now, apparently all the Unholy Death Knights cried harder than the Paladins on the forums because they got their nerf overturned.
That's honestly impressive, being able to cry harder than a paladin.
I mean, dude, more power to them, right? But yeah, so like I feel like I've solved my dilemma in a way because I know that there will be down times when I'm not raiding and I'm not doing content on my Warlock that I can quickly log into my Druid, get my Druid fix on. Uh, I have made the decision on my Demon Hunter that I'm purely going to level while gathering. So I'm level 82 from just gathering lumber, minerals, and herbs.
I'm doing that with a second druid.
So, like, I will get my fixes one way or another. And again, like, leaning into the fantasy, I think, is the most important thing. So this morning I went through and I kind of changed up my T-Mog, and I kind of, changed how all my minions look. Because one cool thing about the Warlocks is in the barbershop, you can just adjust the appearance of all your minions. So I did that.
Oh, I'll say I haven't talked much about the transmog system, but when it first came out, I was like buying as many tabs as I could, just see how many you could have, and I think I stopped at 20. I filled up almost all of those slots already with different outfits, and I love that I can just open the bar, push a button, change my outfit. I love this new system. Like, that improvement to the transmog system
Agreed.
was as awe-inspiring as the introduction of the transmog system.
Honestly, I put it up there. It's on par with the housing, system. Yes, it was a pre-existing thing, but they basically overhauled it from the ground up, and they did a great banger job of it.
They really did.
Now, there were a couple missteps when it was first released in terms of, like, charging people just to get their regular outfit back that they had 24 hours ago. But we won't talk about that. Or will we?
I don't know.
I think I just did.
Favorite bit of salt.
Think I just did. Think it's a little crappy that they're like, oh, here, we'll give you one free one instead of charging you gold. But it's like, dude, it's not the same amount. It's not apples to apples. You're reimbursing us at the current cost, not the cost we had to pay before.
So after watching one of our guildies, Peon, in raid last night, are you going to try Affliction, or are you just going to stick with Demonology?
No, man, I'm about the demons. I get the appeal of Affliction, though. There are some cool looking spells, and it really kind of grinds my gears that they're the ones who get the Observer as a demon. I feel like all Warlocks should be able to pull out an Observer. The big, like, beholder.
Oh yeah, that's their
thing.
cooldown, huh?
Yeah.
Man, I totally forgot about that.
So, like, that attracts me to it, but, like, dude, I can have a pile of imps. I'm okay.
I always loved Affliction. I was very happy to see an Affliction lock at the top of our meters last night.
Dude, he was cranking.
Shout out to Peon. If you're listening, dude, you kicked some ass last night.
So, also, another guild shout out. You were talking about, like, people topping the meters and stuff. So apparently, I forget what boss it was, but Wyland, our monk healer, was in the top. Excuse me. He was in the top 100 in the world on one of our polls last night.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see. Our healers were doing good last night, because for the
cranking,
first attempt on everything.
Yeah. And again, like, to cap off our raid night with a, hey, everybody, we're just going to pull this and see what happens, and then just freaking kick it in the balls. That was great.
Oh, yeah. Man, poor Salad Bar. I'm
with
beaten
you,
the
dude.
snot out of him twice now.
They nerfed him as hard as they nerfed the Death Knights.
I know, and that when we were entering his area, and he was like, no, that wasn't our deal. And Zeltas was like, sucks to suck.
I missed that the first time. I had to go back and read through it. It was hilarious.
That poor dude. Oh, man.
He makes this
So,
huge
I'm
bargain
glad
for power, and he's just basically left out to dry.
To be killed by the same people that defeated him last
Right.
raid.
Hi.
Hey, remember us? We kicked your ass last time, and
killed
now
your
we did
dragon,
it again in a
remember?
one-shot.
Oh, man. But yeah, so, like, again, I feel like the crux of the issue is this old school feeling, and it's followed me from vanilla. And, during the dark times when I had no group of people to play with because I was just playing solo all the time, that's where my alcoholism really came into play. And I'm trying as hard as I can to like break from that, but it's a hard habit to break when you've done it for like 10 years.
Well, I don't feel like you have to break the habit, but focusing on a class and getting deeper into it and really learning how to play it well is an experience that is nice to do.
Yeah, and like there were things back a few expansions ago, like the Green Fire quest, that really taught me a lot about the Warlock and all the abilities that, quite frankly, I wasn't using and I probably could be. Um, so shout out for the first boss that we did last night. As soon as somebody said summoning circle, I'm like, oh man, I'm an idiot. I am an
I
absolute
never learned to use that well as a lock.
I am an absolute idiot because, dude, when he knocks me up in the air, I can hit my summoning circle and take 0 damage.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how I could shapeshift on the fly like into cat so I would take less
Yeah.
damage, but I didn't have my keybind set up for it. So next week I will.
I feel like warriors, outlaw rogues, and survival hunters have a huge advantage in that fight because they can just grapple to the ground.
Well, any rogue, right? Could you shadow step to the ground?
Oh, that's true. I forgot about Shadow Step. I'm used to being my outlaw for the grapple. I love the grapple ability.
Oh, it is fun. The survival hunter one, that is a blast.
Yeah. The harpoon. But yeah, so like again, we kind of put it out there last time, but feedback is always welcome. Does anybody else have these struggles? Because I'd like to know that I'm not the only one who feels this from time to time. Like, I love my hunter. Rocket is a big part of my personality. It's what I'm known as in the guild. So, like, it's really hard for me not to be playing him in raid. But again, I'm still going to be doing enough group content and delves and such that I'm going to be online with him a lot. Also doing housing. But, it's the moment of time, I think, to dive in and figure something out that I truly love to play and how to get better at it. I think the time is now.
You just love playing that rat, don't you?
Trash Panda.
I'm never going to stop, sir. Never.
That's a weird way to say Trash Panda.
So you haven't had a ton of salt today. I'm kind of worried about you. Are you okay?
I'm totally okay. I can sprinkle tons of salt on the mirror delve if you would like.
Oh, man. I heard you and Tally going through that yesterday. That sounded like an experience.
So I don't know what it is, but like I went through there on my Warlock as a tier 11 delve, and it's the one down in Eversong Woods. I forget what it's actually called, but it's the one down in the
one at the
cultist
south
area.
end, right?
Huh?
The south end? Like
Yeah,
all the
it's
way
the
at
one down
bottom?
in that cultist area where the world quest always is.
Oh, yeah.
And this variant of the story is just a slog fest to get through, everybody. I did it on my Warlock, but like I had to be super ridiculous careful. And then last night I'm like, okay, me and my buddy Tally, he's on his Destro lock, I'm on my BM Hunter. How hard could this be? We've got 2 pet classes with tanking pets. Dude, we proceeded to get shredded. Every single Nemesis pack just shredded our pets into, confetti. I don't know what it is. I feel like the AI for the pets is not as good as the AI for the mobs. And the pets aren't smart enough to avoid the floor damage that will one-shot me. So I jump out and I'm fine, but my pets are still standing in the middle of it and they're dying. I legit spent way more time rezzing my pets than actually doing damage.
Man, I remember we had a conversation about this a while ago when we said that the same problem existed with Bran last expansion,
Right.
where he would just stand in stupid stuff and get annihilated.
Yeah.
And at the time, I remember saying, boy, I wish he was as smart as my pet. And now
Right.
it feels like the situation has
It's
reversed.
the opposite. Now, like, I actually watched her because I was on my hunter this morning trying to gear him up a little bit, and I was really determined to get through that delve after the experience I had last night. So I saved it for last this morning, and I'm doing it. And I said, okay, I'm going to take the same approach that I did with my Warlock. I'm just going to go slow, and I'm going to do what I can to control the poles as much as possible. And so, for those who aren't familiar, there's all these beams of light that if you stand in them, you take extra damage. Like the chance to be critically struck goes up. The light itself doesn't hurt you, but that mob attacking you will hurt you a ton if you stand in it. So I figured out pretty quickly that I would much rather dodge the little shadow guys that appear every once in a while and just not mess with the light beams at all. So what I did is I cleared the whole thing and then worked backwards and set up the light beams down the hallway. And that seemed to actually be the trick, is to just go slow and steady. I mean, I didn't die, but again, I'm still spending a good chunk of my time rezzing my pets. And that's never fun.
Man, I still feel like I would love this delve, and I never ended up doing it yesterday because I was trying to clear out all my hunts
Oh.
and my world quests. But
Yeah, and they've
next time
reset
that comes
now.
up, let me know
If it comes
because I
back
would
up, I'll
really
let
enjoy
you know.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I
That
said,
looked
it's
like a
it's
fun one.
fun. It's just a slog. It took me about 40 minutes on each character to do a delve.
Man, that's pretty long for a delve. I usually wipe them in 20, 25 minutes.
Right? 2025 is like the longest I ever did in the War Within. And again, it's kind of like what I was saying yesterday while I was dealing with it, is like, dude, if these are the regular delves, I can't wait to see what labyrinths are like.
Oh, I'm looking so forward to Labyrinth. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to come out so we could talk about them more, cuz man, I'm ready. Those are going to be fun. But
Well, Rocket, does it sound like maybe we've beaten this one to death?
I feel like the actual indecisionness overall topic has been sufficiently salted and beaten. Yeah. But is there anything else that we want to discuss? Anything that's happened, good, bad, or salty?
Would you mind if I talked about our guild site a little bit?
No, that's fine. Yeah, we need to plug it and get people, plugged in and hopefully communicating with us. And, by all means, go for it.
So, a little bit of background on me outside of the game. I've been in data and software development my entire career. And lately, I got laid off late last year, and I've been kind of making a go at it on my own, building things. And one of the things I built is all the tools we use in the back end of this podcast. That's a lot of fun. Go to the website, thesaltallthethings.com, and take a look at the front end. If any of our listeners have feedback, I would love to hear it. But the other thing I've been working on is a set of tools for our guild, because I've been leading raiding guilds since Burning Crusade, and
Oof.
there's always a lot of things that you need to coordinate. You need to understand who's going to be regular, who's not, build a roster, try to fill the holes of that roster, keep up on everyone's gear score and how they're kind of progressing through things to see if somebody's lagging and needs some help. All of the crafting organization for a guild. When you're leading a guild, as I'm sure any of our listeners who are guild leaders know, it actually is quite a bit of investment of work to manage all the things you need to do. And there are so many tools that have popped up across the internet that are mostly free to use that are great, but that means you're like going out to like 10, 12 different places to get all the information. So the thing I've been working on the side by myself is a pullallthethings.com website with a series of tools, a roster, a way to see all the crafting things that we have in the guild. And I'm getting to the point where I might want another guild to try this so that we can see if we can get other people out there to tell me if this is as helpful as I find it, because it automates a lot of the stuff that I used to have to do by hand all the time for the guild, and I love it. So I'm just putting it out there. If anybody wants to go visit pullallthethings.com and just kind of check out the look and feel of the site, there's a feedback button at the top that goes direct back to me. I'd love to hear anybody's feedback that has it. And if you look at it and it feels like something you might want to try for your guild, please do get in touch with me, because I would love to have another pair of eyes on this as a guild leader perspective, saying what works for them, what doesn't, what does it make easier, and what could be improved. So just a little shout out there for my other projects that I'm working on right now, because there's always a bunch of them.
That's all good, man. I can't say enough, and I've told you this to yourself, but I'm going to put it out into the cosmos, so to speak. The tools that you've created to help with the podcast portion of things are amazing. They are so helpful to me in the way my brain works. And then like the guild tools have been really cool too. The one that sticks out for me is the crafting one, because you can quickly see who can make what, and you can just, message that person directly.
Do you know why I built that?
Because you were tired of trying to figure out who can do what?
I literally had the thought. I was sitting down at my computer. I was like, well, maybe I should work on crafting a piece, and I think I want to get this, so I wonder who even has it. I don't even know who our guild leather worker is. I'm like, Sho was trying to organize this, but I'm like, wouldn't it be great if I just had a web page where I could search for the pattern I want? It will tell me everybody in the guild that can make it.
Right.
So I built it. That
Nice.
one was really quick and easy too. That was such a simple lift for something that's so powerful and like easy. And I used it again the other day when I was trying to get my treatises made for my weekly profession point, right?
Right.
I was like, I know Wyland has them, but he's not online right now. Maybe somebody else is able to do this. And I found out Wyland and one other person are the only people with that pattern.
Only inscriptionists.
Yeah. It's kind of light. I'm going to have to work on my evoker soon.
Then the other tool that you were telling me about, that at first I didn't know if it would be good. I've come around the corner on it. The one where it would I think you were saying it would link to like the armory and give you suggestions on all your best in slot gear, what your talents should be, all in one spot instead of having to go deal with somebody else's interface. You can go on one place and get it all in one spot.
A lot of what I'm trying to do is I pull the summary from all these helpful tools so that it's all in one place. Because typically, you don't need deep information. You need to know, what is the average parse? Is there somebody that we need to look at, right? Like, what are the gear score levels? Is there somebody that I should be trying to help take through dungeons or encourage them to do some delves and such?
Right.
So that's often what it is. But then when you want that deep dive, when you want to go in and see what somebody's parse is raid by raid, I'm putting a link out there to go to that part of Warcraft logs just directly so that you can use their really well built tool to do that research. And so what Rocket's referring to is I was going to take all the major sites that give you specs and rotations and best in slot gear and all that and put links to them on your My Characters page so that you can just like quickly open up Icy Veins and Wowhead side by side, and you can kind of compare how are these different, which one more resonates with how I like to play and things like that. So thank you for giving me that feedback, Rocket. It's actually next up on my list because it's something that I know I will use all the frickin' time.
And like my point about it is it's really cool to be able to go to one place, click a link instead of having to go window to window, having multiple things open. Again, I'm an old Rocket. I'm reaching my, golden years here. And the less windows I have to have open, the better off I think everyone will be.
Well, I mean, that's kind of modern life too, right? Like
Right.
everything is its own web page. Everything is its own app on your phone. Nothing is together anymore.
Right.
So my tools that I'm building are trying to bring a little bit of that back. Like if there's a focused interest area, why should I have to go to 18 different places if I just need surface level data from all of it? Just go to one place where all of the data is, and if I need to go deeper, I can. Like
Yeah.
that's my perspective on using the internet in general.
It's a pretty good philosophy. I do agree with it quite a bit.
Well, Rocket, why don't you tell us what we're talking about next week?
Well, next week, I believe we're going to dive into yet another Rocket favorite salty topic, and that has to regard with pets. Um, I'm going to harp on this until they fix the problem, but why can't hunter pets be account bound so that any hunter I create can have access to all the pets that I've learned? They can do it with companion pets, they can do it with TMOG system, but we're also going to talk about something that I think would be really cool if they could figure out how to do it, and that is why not TMOG for your battle pets, your hunter, your warlock minions? Why can't we get appearances where they're wearing armor?
Well, don't give it all away, sir.
Oh, I won't. I have plenty of ideas to build off of that. Don't you worry.
Oh, I do too. I love this topic because, I guess I kind of did it myself, right? When I ranted about transmog earlier, but I really love the transmog
Right.
system. I think it's one of the best things in WoW.
Now let's take it to the next step.
Hell yeah.
But I guess until then, everybody, I want to wish everyone a happy first week of season 1. Hopefully you are getting your fat loots and killing them bosses and just having a good time in midnight, because honestly, that's what it's all about.
Yes, yes, it is. Having fun with your group and enjoying this game we all play.
Are we out?
I guess we are.
Well, everybody, I guess we'll wrap it up with that. I'm Rocket, that's Trog, and we'll talk to you next time on Salt All the Things. You suck.